Tonight, overdoses and deaths are on the rise from contaminated street drugs. Plus,
why did we wait so long?
A new report finds an average wait time of 14 hours in Canada's emergency rooms.
We've been calling a state of emergency and state of crisis.
And the unexpected and unspoken benefits of equine therapy.
Horses have an ability to be very intuitive to how we're feeling.
CTV News with Lauren Stallone.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. A drug watch has been issued for St. Thomas, Woodstock, and Oxford and Elgin counties tonight. The advisory from Southwestern Public Health comes amid a sudden rise in overdoses and deaths. CTV's Sean Irvin reports.
St. Thomas is just one community named in a drug watch by Southwestern Public Health. Here, overdoses are on the rise as testing shows some drugs are being mixed into potentially deadly concoctions. The result is tragic.
We lost 2 young women.
Amanda Zielinski leads The Nameless, a St. Thomas organization that offers both harm reduction and peer support. She says it was her team that alerted health officials after tests came back showing potentially deadly additives in some samples of cocaine and crystal methamphetamine. Now, the concern here is the mixture of drugs. When various substances are combined together, it can lead to more overdoses and deaths.
After we tested, I believe it was a total of 11 samples. We did 9 crystal meth and 2 cocaine samples. All of them tested positive for xylazine, they tested positive for fentanyl, and they tested positive for benzodiazepines.
While the Southwestern Public Health Unit has not confirmed specific cases, they are tracking a rise in overdoses and deaths. Their broad advisory covers not only street-level users, but also occasional users of cocaine.
And they're not used to taking an opioid such as fentanyl. There's a very high increased risk of overdose and worsened sedation, which again increases overdose risk.
As public concern is heightened, so is the call for more education. Users are instructed to never do drugs alone. Counselors not only have naloxone in hand, but also kits to identify contents. Just 3 years ago, Ray Waters was deep in addiction. Now in recovery, he is a peer support worker concerned about the alarming discovery in the street supply.
I was never into fentanyl or anything like that, but still, the same thing could have happened to me.
Which is why the rush to spread the word is on.
I'm just concerned we're going to lose more young people. So much life ahead of people that's not there no more, you know?
In St. Thomas, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Canadians are waiting hours, sometimes even days in emergency rooms across the country. A new report suggests the problem doesn't actually begin in the ER. Kathy Lee has more on what's really driving the delays.
Long waits in Canada's emergency rooms have become an all too familiar experience, and Brenda Trottier knows that firsthand.
It was frustrating.
She says her daughter went to a Calgary emergency room with abdominal pain last month and did not leave until more than 10 hours later.
Why wasn't her pain addressed? Why did we wait so long?
A new report by the Canadian Institute for Health Information found 1 in 10 patients spent more than 14 hours in the ER in 2024-2025. For those needing to be admitted, 1 in 10 spent more than 2 days in the ER waiting for a bed. This doctor says it's a long-standing issue that keeps getting worse.
We've been calling a state of emergency and state of crisis.
The report suggests the root of the problem often lies far beyond the emergency department. Shortages of hospital beds, long-term care spaces, and community supports are creating a bottleneck through the healthcare system.
Our government has been neglecting on some of the capacity and workforce building.
The consequences of overcrowded emergency departments have at times been tragic. In Alberta, 44-year-old Prashant Srikumar died in an Edmonton ER. And in Ontario, 16-year-old Finlay Vander Werken died in an Oakville ER. Both waited 8 hours to see a doctor. The Alberta government says population growth, rising demand, and increasing patient complexity are contributing to longer waits.
I think the feds have to get involved now and actually start to say, hey, we need to look at this in a national solution.
Trottier is thankful her daughter's condition wasn't more serious and understands medical staff are under strain, but says enough is enough.
It is broken.
And the government needs to make changes. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
An Ontario pharmacist is citing concerns about the amount of medicine on back order. He is calling for action from both the province and federal government. CTV's Siobhan Morris explains.
2 drops in the morning. Kirsten Campbell was thrown for a loop last week when she tried to refill a prescription for eye drops.
No, can't be to anger, and then I was in a bit of a panic.
She's been using Combigan for years to treat glaucoma. She'd never had an issue before.
Is this going to be not my fault? I'm going to end up having to have surgery? You know, or worse, like the pressure builds up and something worse could happen.
She did eventually get set up with an alternative, but her eye drops, one of the drugs a bunch of pharmacists have struggled to get their hands on. Same with hydromorphone, commonly prescribed after surgery.
A heartburn medication called Tecta, or it's generic, pantoprazole magnesium, that's been on back order for over a month.
The reason for the holdup is different drug to drug. Issues at the manufacturing level, a spike in demand. Massey says that causes a lot of frustration on both sides of the pharmacy counter.
We end up having to try to find alternatives that we recommend to physicians, and then physicians end up wasting a lot of time reading through multiple communications.
It's adding unnecessary time to a very simple process.
Dr. Alan Grill explains back orders also create scheduling complications for patients and may slow down getting the support they need.
You really should be speaking to the patient to let them know what's happening. So in some cases, your community pharmacist will do that. But in other cases, the patient will then potentially book a second appointment to find out why you changed your mind on the medication.
It helps when pharmacists recommend an alternative they do have in stock. Massey wants to eliminate that step.
Pharmacists should be allowed to switch medications when on back order to a drug in the same class that's equally efficacious with a similar side effect profile.
He's pleading for better communication from Health Canada about shortages and what's being done to mitigate them.
We just wake up in the morning and we find that a drug is not available. And I think that that's not acceptable.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. This area of low pressure is sitting over the Great Lakes. Counterclockwise rotation, we can make it out with this satellite radar imagery. On its reverse side, it's inducing secondary and tertiary, right? Second and third wave showers and thunderstorms across the state of Michigan.
The following is a message from the Canadian National Public Alerting System.
At 6:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time Thursday, Environment Canada has updated a tornado warning for southwestern Ontario. Extra care and attention should be exercised. The following localities are included in the warning: London, Middlesex and Elgin. Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking a severe thunderstorm that is possibly producing a tornado. Damaging winds, large hail and locally intense rainfall are also possible. Take cover immediately if threatening weather approaches. Please consult local media for more information.
Truck traffic headed for the Blue Water Bridge.
Any farther, the trucks seem to get backed up there a lot, so it's probably going to cause some more accidents.
And then the trucks kind of tend to block both lanes, so it makes it really hard for passengers to even get through.
And now the speed limit on Highway 402 from Waterworks Road to just east of Colburn Road is about to jump to 110 kilometers per hour. The current speed limit is 100 before it drops to 70 approaching the bridge. Sarnia Mayor Mike Bradley says the city was never consulted about the increase.
We've had numerous accidents with people going into the back of vehicles, and that was at the lower speed limit. So one is concerned, particularly because of the volatile nature of some of the cargoes that are in the trucks here, that the higher speed is not going to be helpful. It's compounded by the fact this summer we're looking for a long, hot summer because the Gordie Howe Bridge isn't open. So the Blue Water Bridge has become the alternative location.
Highway 402 between London and Sarnia was originally one of the test sites for 110. It was back in 2019. It became part of a pilot project for a 90-kilometer stretch of the highway, and that became permanent in 2022. According to the provincial government, 876 kilometers of Ontario highways are already at the higher speed. On Wednesday, Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria announced an additional 938 kilometers of highway will be boosted to 110. The changes taking place between this Friday and the end of September.
We monitored those sections very closely, and what we've seen from that is no increase, whether it's fatalities or from a safety perspective.
The 402 increase through Sarnia kicks in at the end of July. Also in southwestern Ontario, Highway 402 between the 401 and White Oak Drive in London goes to 110 at the same time. While Highway 401 from Chatham-Kent to east of Toronto goes to 110 August 31st. Brian Bicknell, CTV News, Sarnia.
Downtown London's largest landowner is praising City Hall's financial incentive to turn vacant office spaces into new homes. Shmuel Fari adding that the project he unveiled today is just the beginning. CTV's Daryl Newcomb reveals the improving relationship between Fari and City Hall.
This building built as an office, not as residential.
Shmuel Fari leading a tour of 685 Richmond Street, where office space that had been vacant for 5 or 6 years has been transformed into 41 residential units. The project made possible by City Hall's Office to Residential Conversion program that provides a financial incentive from federal dollars awarded out of the Housing Accelerator Fund.
We found a pathway to a program that now has 200,000 square feet of office space either converted or in the process of being converted. Vacant office space in our downtown core that is being changed into homes.
Currently, the office vacancy rate in downtown London is about 30%. The financial incentive helps offset the cost of upgrading old office space to meet current residential building code and safety standards.
Those conversions cannot be done without the help of the city and the federal government. And very challenging to convert an office.
When you have people living downtown, you have businesses that are able to thrive. The people that live at this particular location will be able to go to local bars, local restaurants. I mean, the Grand Theatre is down the street.
Fari Holdings is downtown London's largest landowner. And while this project represents progress for the Office to Residential Conversion program, it also suggests improving relations between Shmuel Fari and City Hall.
I think we turn a page. And I had a heart-to-heart talk with Josh and other politicians and support staff. And I said, look, if you want a partnership with us, we will come and do things. And we're doing by doing, not by talking.
You can score a bunch of political points after criticizing him, but that actually doesn't get anything done for Londoners. What gets done is partnership. What gets done is designing programs that actually get people to move on the properties they have.
Fari says the residential building is already at 73% occupancy, and he's now pledging to convert space in some of his other downtown properties.
Our intention is to have close to 300 units in the next 2 to 3 years. More people you bring to downtown, more it support the good fabric of the community.
Fari says he'll be announcing details about his next projects in downtown London soon. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Well, a bit of a review day for Mark Carney as the Prime Minister outlined a shopping list of what his government accomplished during the spring session. CTV's Abigail Beeman breaks it down for us.
Morning. The Prime Minister ran through his record, touting a successful spring session.
We have the right plan. We're on track, but there's much more to do.
Taking questions, Mark Carney peeled back the curtain on what he called a long conversation with President Trump and senior officials, including Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
On a range of issues, some related to NATO, some related to the situation in Iran and the broader Middle East, both current and structural issues. Is a very constructive conversation. There's things we're working on together.
He wouldn't share details on Iran, but with the deadline for a review of the North American Free Trade Deal next week.
We didn't discuss Kuzma yesterday.
Mr. Carney has a long telephone conversation
with the president and doesn't even bring it up? What could be a greater priority to this country?
CTV News asked the Prime Minister about these comments from the U.S. ambassador.
Obviously, we're not anywhere close to announcing any type of a framework or an interim agreement.
What I have seen with the president is that you're not close to make a deal and then you make a deal. So both things can be true.
Carney said Canada is holding out for a reason.
We could sign a bad deal this afternoon, right? We could have signed a bad deal a year ago. We're not going to sign a bad deal. So it has to be a real deal.
The Prime Minister also teased another topic, promising an announcement on the future of 24 Sussex. That's the official residence of the Prime Minister in disrepair that hasn't been lived in a decade. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Personal tragedy has prompted a local woman to start a unique kind of therapy program near Exeter. Scott Miller reports.
Harper McNabb has spent the past year using horses to help her deal with the anxieties of adolescence.
School wasn't always easy for me, and, I didn't have always the closest friend to be around, but when I came here, all the horses were just there for me. I didn't have to ask them or, ask them to be my friend. They were just there for me.
McNabb is exactly the kind of client that Pam Siddle wants to help with her new equine-assisted therapy program, RG Wellness and Care, located on a horse farm near Kirkton.
It's a therapy that doesn't include a whole lot of talking. It's just about being present with the horses. Horses have an ability to be very intuitive to how we're feeling, pick up on our emotions and our energy.
Siddle learned the power of horse healing over the past 2 years following the sudden passing of her father after he took his own life on May 2nd, 2024. Siddle took 6 months off work to grieve the loss, spending much of that time with her horses.
Out of 45 years of being around horses, I never experienced what it felt like to actually heal with them.
She's sharing that horse healing with others now.
I have foster children coming in here, and we're seeing an amazing outcome, very positive. And with here in Perth CAS, we have a partnership, and I just see that growing.
McNabb says spending her spare time with horses has made her happier and more centered than ever before.
I love coming out here because honestly it's just so therapeutic, because I'm not a huge talkative person. I don't like to talk about my feelings, but horses, they just are so understanding, but they don't have words.
It is called therapy, but it's not talk therapy. It's not your traditional therapy. So it's nice for people that maybe have tried the talk therapy and it's not really working for them.
Near Kirkton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Summer has arrived on the calendar in London. City pools are open for the season. Our Nick Paparella is standing by with more on pool openings and summer swimming programs. Nick, I thought I'd be seeing you do some cannonballs or swimming some laps.
Not just yet, but we're going to get there. Hey, Lauren, great to see you. School is out, and the swimming pools are opening this weekend. It's a great time to dive into summer, and I'm joined now by Lisa Brandy, manager of aquatic programs with the city. And Lisa, what a great time of the year.
It's one of my favorite times of the year when we get to this point in the season.
And tell us, all the pools are opening this weekend.
That's right. On Saturday, we will have 10 outdoor pools will be opening to add to the complement of our 4 indoor pools that are already open. So we're super excited about that. I spent all day today training 300 staff.
All right, so we're ready to go that way. And tell us about these splash pads as well.
Right, so we've got 18 spray pads across the city. You'll probably find one in your local neighborhood, and they've been open since the May long weekend. They are open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Just press the button and the water will start spraying.
Now, what about lessons if people need to get their kids trained for swimming?
Yeah, we absolutely want people to learn how to swim and be safe around water. So we have swim lessons for 4 months old all the way up through adults. Our adult lessons are really popular right now. We've got lots of adults who want to learn how to swim later in life, which is amazing.
And tell us, I've got a grandbaby living with us now at home, and there's a swimming pool. swimming pool safety, always a big concern for everybody.
It is. It's very important that if you have a backyard pool, that you have self-closing gates, that you have an adult watching the people who are swimming. If you're going somewhere to swim, it's always recommended that you go somewhere where there's a lifeguard so that you are safe around the water. Wear your life jacket if you're boating. Don't drink on your boat. All those things are really important to keep people safe around the water.
All right, Lisa, thank you. Thank you so much for this. Okay, the pools are opening this weekend. Lauren, it's time to take the plunge into summer.
Okay, sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Nick. Coming up, the impact and the global response as two devastating earthquakes hit Venezuela. Plus, the Montreal shooting renews calls for a ban on SKS rifles in Canada. Two powerful earthquakes have struck Venezuela, affecting millions. CTV's Heather Wright on the desperate search for survivors after the biggest quake to hit the country in a century.
A woman waves a piece of clothing from this building in La Guaira, Venezuela, one of many people trapped inside their homes, following two of the most devastating earthquakes to hit Venezuela in more than a century. Both quakes struck near the country's northern coast. The first, a magnitude 7.2, hit around 6:04 p.m. The second, a magnitude 7.5, came just 40 seconds later.
And then I felt the ground shaking a little bit, and then just mass panic.
Rescue crews and civilians spent the night combing through the rubble of toppled buildings trying to find survivors. The two major earthquakes battering the country's already fragile infrastructure. More than 100 people are confirmed dead, with thousands of people still missing.
It's heartbreaking.
John Rosenberg is from Caracas and now lives in Toronto. He's worried about all the people still missing and about the devastating long-term impact these quakes will have on the country.
We feel like there was finally a recovery starting to happen, and to see the devastation and to see how much the infrastructure has suffered.
Today, Venezuela's President Delcy Rodriguez called for unity in the face of this disaster, which will likely further test her presidency. Rodriguez was installed after the United States ousted former President Nicolas Maduro in January. While Venezuela is an oil-rich country, decades of corruption and record-high inflation mean many services have been hollowed out, complicating rescue efforts. Today, Canada was among the many nations promising help.
We're working with our partners directly, and we will scale things as appropriate to move forward.
The Prime Minister says one of the challenges the government is facing when it comes to helping Canadians on the ground in Venezuela is that Canada does not have an embassy there. While there are no imminent plans to reopen one, Mark Carney says this disaster is a reminder of the importance of having a presence in foreign countries, even adversarial ones. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister was asked about the banning of firearms and assault-type weapons following the deadly violence in Montreal on Monday. A prominent gun control advocacy group is repeating calls for an immediate end to the sale of long guns. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver reports.
Days after the deadly shooting, the scene is looking more like business as usual. Pedestrians have returned and many shops have reopened, but the memorial is still there, a lasting reminder of the lives lost and the questions still lingering, like why this happened and how. I'm upset by this. I'm really upset. The suspect has been identified as 25-year-old Seth Scott Hatfield of Lethbridge, Alberta. Police have not identified the type of firearm used in Monday's shooting, but images circulating online show a long gun lying on the ground that experts believe is likely a Russian SKS.
It's kind of fuzzy, but the SKS has a very distinctive feature. It has an integral bayonet that folds underneath the barrel, and you can see on the rifle in the picture what appears to be that integral bayonet.
Experts say the semi-automatic Soviet-era rifle and its many modified versions is a popular rifle among legal gun owners in Canada and among Indigenous hunters. But after Monday's shooting...
The following is a message from the Canadian National Public Alerting System.
At 6:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time Thursday, Environment Canada has issued a marine tornado warning for Lower Great Lakes. Extra care and attention should be exercised in the following marine areas: Lake Erie, Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking a severe thunderstorm that is possibly producing a tornado. Damaging winds, large hail and locally intense rainfall are also possible. Tornadoes are often wrapped in rain and may not be visible. Take cover immediately if threatening weather approaches.
Coalition for Firearms Rights accuses Poly-Citoyen of using this tragedy to push a long-held position against the SKS while ignoring the suspect's violent manifesto. They argue any gun could have been used in this shooting. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Montreal.
Gary joins me now. Gary, we saw some sunshine, we saw some rain, so today's been kind of a weird day.
You're right. In and out of some of those showers, thunderstorms, Lauren, they still threaten this hour, and it could be through to, say, 9, 10 p.m. before we start to see things settle down. And even then, the overnight early between midnight and 2 o'clock a.m. tomorrow, there's still a possibility across parts of southwestern Ontario. Today was slightly cooler than seasonal in terms of the daytime high. The low was just a couple of degrees higher than the usual daytime low. We've been in the upper teens, low 20s through the latter stage of the afternoon, now into the early evening. It's felt like the mid-20s for the great city of London, Ontario, and we've seen some sunshine, at least to start. The wind's starting to pick up right now as I speak through the overnight. This model perhaps underplaying where pockets of thunderstorms, Sarnia towards, say, Goderich, Kincardine along the eastern shores of Lake Huron. Some of those pulses, those individual thunderstorms or cells have produced even stronger winds. And we can make out with the satellite radar imagery, the cloud cover, and of course the radar returns in the greens, yellows, and oranges. Heavy rains across upper Michigan, obviously Manitoulin Island, and then into the Huron Shores region, being hit with this swirling region of low pressure. So we'll see second and third waves, right, wrapping around. We call this wraparound effect. And eventually the system altogether pushes east, and what remains is a cloudy Friday into perhaps even early Saturday. But you get a sense of where the rain's likely to fall. Hardest hit areas in extreme southwestern Ontario, perhaps Sarnia, Chatham, Kent, towards Strathroy, Ontario, London, and then towards Kitchener-Waterloo and the GTA along the 401 corridor, lighter precipitation amounts anticipated. 18 degrees through 8 o'clock, still a threat of thunder showers then, and then through 10 p.m. The winds out of the west sustained at 20 km, but again, isolated and sporadic thunderstorms will be more potent with stronger winds, obviously heavy downpours or heavier downpours, and the potential of even some small size hail, dime size perhaps. The 7-day forecast is interesting in that we are warming up and then some. The long-range forecast as of right now suggests that Canada Day will be cloudy. It will be warm, well above seasonal. 32 degrees, feeling like about 37. So I want to get that out there just to prepare. Could see some showers as well. We will be low 20s tomorrow, mid-20s through the weekend, and then 30s across much of southern Ontario as we look towards next week. And Canada Day being very important. Wednesday's the big holiday. Keep the umbrella nearby. The weekend doesn't look bad, comfortable, but next week, Monday through to Thursday at least, temperatures are going to be in the low 30s, feeling like the upper 30s, maybe even 40 degrees Celsius. Lauren?
Okay, thanks so much, Gary. New rules for auto insurance offer potential savings, but they come at a risk.
Coming up on Thursday, July 16th, we've got Country Night at Rock the Park, and you can help decide how that night's going to go.
Tyler DeLargy, Maddie McKenzie, and Stephen James Porter are all looking for your vote. Go to purecountry93.ca for more info.
Outgoing Apple CEO Tim Cook recently mentioned price hikes were on the way for several of his company's products. Today, the tech giant revealed what those increases will be. Apple will no longer shield customers from soaring memory and storage chip costs. Those prices have been sent rising while the AI industry pushes to build out more data centers. As of today, Canadian customers will pay $949 for the entry-grade MacBook Neo laptop. That's a $150 increase, joined by price hikes for a range of Macs, iPads, and other products. Today's announcement doesn't affect Apple's main cash cow, the iPhone. Major changes will be coming to auto insurance policies next week, with the province saying it's all about giving drivers more options. However, as CTV's Heather Centerin reports, experts are warning that the potential savings may not be worth the risk.
Ontario drivers renewing their car insurance will soon face a brand new set of decisions. For years, policies automatically included 12 accident benefits. Starting July 1st, 9 of them, listed here, will become optional. Experts say the most important one to consider changing is income replacement benefits.
If you were involved in an auto accident and you had to use that benefit, that's essentially like a disability benefit. So if you're unable to work, then they would supplement your income. But if you're retired, you don't need that coverage because you don't have any income. So why pay for it?
But the sales broker from Donovan Insurance says, don't be too quick to opt out of anything.
So if you remove certain things and then you do have an unfortunate incident, you could be at risk to not have coverage.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says those prepared to make changes are often covered elsewhere.
I've heard other people say, well, I have all these other benefits. I have a separate policy for health care and income replacement, so I don't need it on my auto policy.
But is it worth it to switch up your policy? Some policy owners say it isn't.
A lot of them are opting just to leave it because $1 over the course of a year or $15 over the course of the year is not that much in the grand scheme of things.
Adjustments to a policy would only need to be made during renewal time. If you don't make any changes, your policy will stay as is.
If you want to change some of these coverages, you're going to have to do so in writing. So you're going to have to, send an email or sign a document that lets your insurance broker or agent know, yes, I want to remove this coverage or that coverage.
When in doubt, experts say talk to your broker or agent so they can help steer you in the right direction with coverage that's catered to you. Heather Centerin, CTV News.
International Trade Minister Maninder Sidhu says he'll be pushing for more relief from Beijing's tariffs on Canadian canola, peas, and seafood when he meets with his Chinese counterpart this fall. The meeting is expected to take place in November when China is hosting this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Earlier this year, Prime Minister Mark Carney secured lower Chinese tariffs on some Canadian agriculture and food products after Canada agreed to cut duties on Chinese electric vehicles and allow up to 49,000 EVs into the Canadian market each year. Canada's main stock index was helped by gains in the basic materials and industrial sectors. In Toronto, the TSX gained 114, while in New York, the Dow added 72, and the Nasdaq fell 118. The Canadian dollar is up 0.15 of a cent, and on commodity markets, gold gained almost $39 an ounce, and oil added $1.58 a barrel. Coming up on CTV News, we'll remember the role Victoria Park played in preserving Canada's freedom from a hostile neighbor. Tonight, we continue our ongoing series, London 200, with a look back at the city's first gathering place, Victoria Park. However, what you may not know is that the land it occupies once served as our primary area for our defense. CTV's Sean Irvin reports.
From above and from the ground, these majestic views of Victoria Park reflect its place in modern London. But if you could step back in time a little more than 150 years, this is what Victoria Park would look like. Standing before you is a barracks capable of holding 700 British soldiers. This is just one part of a garrison designed with one purpose: protecting London.
They were here because of the fear of American invasion. So just in case, so really sort of as a deterrent.
The 3 cannons that were put there, they were actually meant to be used against American invasion. That's why they're pointing to the west, because they figure if the Americans came up, they'd come up from Detroit.
While historians debate the purpose of the cannons, which arrived as war prizes from overseas, we do know they were part of the garrison by the 1850s. The military base, stretching from present-day Piccadilly Street in the north to Queen Street in the south, had been surveyed in 1838. It was operational by 1840.
It was a whole military complex. There was a hospital, there were barracks, there were training grounds.
Period plans show the layout, with a military hospital sitting beneath the site of the present-day bandshell. In the early part of this century, Dana Polton led a team of archaeologists unearthing the garrison beneath the park. Following the original survey stones, his team uncovered military memorabilia, including regimental badges and buttons, along with human bones and artifacts of everyday life. The team also discovered building foundations that exceeded expectations.
Certainly, we got to show just how massive the soldiers' quarters was. I mean, that thing spanned 3/4 of the width of the north end of Victoria Park.
The presence of the soldiers was a boon to the 18th century economy.
The garrison arrived, and we've got a tannery there to supply the leather goods they need. Shortly thereafter, both Labatt's and Carling are brewing away, satisfying the thirst of all of these new soldiers who are there. So the huge economic impact that the arrival of the garrison had cannot be underestimated at all.
The soldiers became part of the fabric of London. Several married into prominent families, including the Harrises of Eldon House fame. Others were known to woo the women of London on a private waterway that flowed near present-day Richmond and Pall Mall.
And the stream was there, and they flooded the stream. They called it Lake Horn, and the British officers would take their ladies out on the boat in a good time.
The garrison would operate off and on until soon after Confederation. One of the final assignments for its soldiers was to deter the Union Army from invading Canada during the American Civil War. When the British left in 1869, the Canadian government was interested in expanding its new military presence in London. In a land swap, beer baron Sir John Carling offered up his farm to create Wolseley Barracks in exchange for the garrison lands.
And initially, there were people in London who said, okay, great, we have this land. Let's turn it into housing units. Let's parcel it up. And Carling is the one who said, no, let's not. Let's create, what did he call it? It was great. Something like a breathing ground, a pleasure ground for Londoners. And let's not think of the London today, but let's think of generations to come.
It turned out that Carling was an early form of naturalist.
There was a real fear in Victorian society's mind collectively that growing cities, urbanization, factories, day labor jobs was really threatening the health of citizens, residents.
In time, an urban paradise was created, but it wasn't exactly open to everyone. Victoria Park was for the upper crust of London society.
It was a place to come and be seen, really.
The area around the park had some more established, wealthy individuals with rather lovely homes there, and they were not keen on the working class baseball or cricket. Any of that. They said, no. Walking is genteel, you may walk. That is it. And so they basically set up gardens.
But one feature associated with the park today was missing.
Probably not as many squirrels as what you would see today. I understand that squirrels were actually introduced to the park in 1914 in order to make the park more fun for children.
Early in the 20th century, a bandstand was constructed, along with an elaborate fountain dubbed the Cupid that enthralled for generations. Throughout this time and to the present day, Victoria Park never lost its military heritage. From memorials to the South African campaign to the addition of the cenotaph and the Holy Roller, Victoria Park pays homage to the fallen.
And so it's kind of remained ingrained, I think, in London's consciousness that this is a space that has those military connections.
And royal ones, kings and queens, visited the park. Over the ensuing decades, it has become a place for all Londoners and the world to gather.
There's a lot of these weekend festivals, but there's still a lot of times where the park is generally open and accessible. And I think it's a decent balance that we have at the moment.
But historical experts agree the park is missing a key piece of its past that Londoners of today would welcome back.
I mean, all the great parks in the world have amazing fountains, so I think the city should work on that one.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Hey there, it's time for your London list. As summer weekends are here, and so is the summer fun. We're joined by Weaver from Afternoons on Pure Country. We're kicking off the weekend Friday night. Lots going on. Tell us what's happening this weekend.
Who doesn't love to pull out a blanket and watch a movie under the stars? How about the Smurfs? That's happening at Meredith Park. We've also got outdoor movie nights happening Friday at West Lions Park.
All right, we also have a London Majors game Friday night.
Yeah, the Majors. I used to work for the team, by the way. They put on a great show every weekend at Labatt Park. And don't forget, All-Star voting is underway, so choose your favorite major. Maybe they make the All-Star game this year.
All right, we're talking water park season, and yes, East Park is having their big kickoff.
Yeah, I'm pumped about this one. Pure Country's going to be there. Virgin Radio's going to be there. CTV London's going to be there. It's the East Park Summer Kickoff Party Friday. And Saturday, they've also got an adult water park party happening, which is always a ton of fun.
So much fun. The City of London pools as well will be opening on Saturday, and more info on the City of London website. There's a couple great festivals going on this weekend, and it's all about the food.
Yeah, the Opa Greek Festival is happening at the Hellenic Community Center, and also the London International Food and Drink Festival, which is taking over Victoria Park.
All right, a great fundraiser this weekend in Clinton in support of hospice. Tell us about that.
Hearts and Hooves. It's a hospice ride, barrel and games, benefiting Jessica's House Hospice and Huron Hospice. That's Sunday in Clinton, as you said. They are looking for people to register ahead of time, but spectators are welcome day of.
All right, and Canada Day, the countdown is on. There are some festivities happening pre-party night. Tell us about it.
The night market is happening in London on the Tuesday before the holiday. And then, of course, the holiday itself is going to be wild in Harris Park, CTV, Pure Country, Virgin Radio, and the fireworks are expected at 10.
All right, thanks so much, Weaver. That's your London list. Have a great weekend.
Tomorrow, more jobs are being slashed at Fanshawe College. We sit down with President Peter Devlin to find out how many and the potential impact on students this fall. Tomorrow at 6.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to David Friesen for a great image here. Expect showers and/or thunderstorms sporadically throughout this evening. The worst weather could lie between Sarnia due east towards London with moderate to heavy rainfall, gusty winds, possibly some small hail, and we're always looking out for tornadic activity.
David Clayton Thomas, the voice of Canadian band Blood, Sweat and Tears, has died. The Grammy Award winner died on Tuesday evening at St. Michael's Hospital. He sold more than 40 million records over the course of his career, which began in the early 1960s. A memorial concert celebrating his life and music is set to be held at a later date, with the proceeds benefiting Peace Builders Canada. He was 84 years old. Families across the province will be able to begin their summer break with some free fishing. Starting on Saturday and lasting until Sunday, July 5th, Ontario residents can fish for free across the province without purchasing a fishing license or outdoor card. All conservation license, catch and size limits, as well as other fishing regulations still apply. Well, a NASA satellite has found 2 planets with a density similar to that of cotton candy. The space agency is referring to them as super puffs. The planets got that name because they are about the size of Jupiter, but have less than 6% of its mass. NASA detected their shadows as they passed in front of their sun. The planets are more than 1,100 light years away, and scientists are not exactly sure what they look like. This is an artist's interpretation. Finally tonight, a Canadian tradition has galloped into Ottawa with the RCMP musical ride beginning today. CTV's Tyler Fleming has more on the start of a cross-country tour for the horses and their riders.
Saddles tightened, hooves planted, reins in hand. Walk. For this well-groomed regiment of 16 equines and their police partners, every formation starts here. The RCMP musical ride returns to Ottawa this week, but before the famous charge, practice starts in February.
There's 16 horse and rider. About half of them are new, so have never been on the musical ride before. And in fact, they've only ridden horses for a few months.
Riders must learn to walk, trot, and canter, crisscrossing knee to knee.
Our four-legged friend here, they're the ones who help us achieve this.
These hand-picked Hanoverian horses are athletes too. Some even have royal bloodlines.
This would be Victoria. Victoria is the last gift from Queen Elizabeth.
Among this year's troop, several first-generation Canadians. Constable Jack Tan.
I'm very proud to be a part of this unit.
Constable Kylian Chiquan, whose family members recently visited from France.
They were so proud to see me in the Red Surge.
And lead rider Corporal Amrit Gill.
It just means so much to represent Canada.
In a performance representing a modern Canada in one of the country's oldest traditions.
Meeting everybody in small towns, big towns, and representing the South Asian community as well.
And there's a mission behind this cavalry's cross-country journey. Every stop helps to raise money for local charities. The tour begins at the RCMP stables in Ottawa on Thursday with 4 free shows featuring local performers as well, all while supporting the Ottawa Food Bank. The cavalry then heads across Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia, the goal, building connections between community, the police, and horses.
People may have never spoken to a police officer before, but when you have a horse there to pet, to break the ice, it's amazing what kind of conversations you can have.
I even get comments saying, hey, I could see myself up there because of you. So that means a lot.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
Very cool. That's our time tonight. For your latest local updates, you can always head to our website. Our next newscast is tonight at 11. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.